Hey, it's Nina with Walla Stamping. Thank you for joining me today. This is the project that I'm going to be sharing with you, and I know that there are tons of purse tutorials out there, but I absolutely love giving these as teacher gifts. And actually, now that my children are either in college or I still have two in high school, I'm in the office all the time because I'm having to dismiss a child or take them to school or take them the lunch that they forgot or something. And the two ladies that work in that front office are so sweet and so accommodating and helpful. So I made a couple of these not too long ago and put candy in it and just took it in and gave it to them and let them know how much I appreciate everything that they do and how helpful they are to me. So, and if you know somebody that loves purses, I do have a good friend that has a purse fetish. This is a really cute gift to give to someone you know that loves purses. So this one, as you can tell, this one is a little bit smaller, and I used some Velcro to seal this shut with, and then I put a little heart on the outside. And then this one, I actually used one of those little magnets, and it's kind of too strong. I should have gotten one that was not quite as strong, but I do like the magnets better than the Velcro, but you can use either one you have on hand. I wasn't paying attention when I purchased them, and this is, even though it's a little bitty magnet, it's like at the top of the scale of how strong it is. I should have got something a little bit weaker, but at the time I didn't realize that you could get magnets with different strengths. But anyways, let's move on. This paper that I'm making these out of is called Pop of Pink, and it's a designer series paper, and the whole bag pretty much is made out of that. I do have a little bit of pieces of black cardstock that is going to go into this. So let me show you what you need to make these two little bags. So I'm sticking with the Pop of Pink designer series paper, and I'm going to be making the larger bag, and this is the paper that I'm going to be using. The opposite side is a black polka dot, which I like a whole lot too, but I think since it is so very close to Valentine's, if you need a really quick last minute put together box as a gift to give to a teacher or a friend or coworker or whatever, I love the little pink and white hearts on here. So the measurements for the larger purse, your purse base is going to be 9 1/4 by 8 1/4 inches. If you like the smaller one better and would rather make that one, the measurements for that is going to be 7 3/4 by 6 1/2. And I'm going to make my PDF with the measurements and instructions to create the larger one, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you as I'm making these what the scoring would be for the smaller one as well. So you'll need that, and then for all the little flowers that are on this purse here, I've got 3 pieces here: silver foil, basic black cardstock, and melon mambo. And all 3 of these pieces are cut to 2 by 3 1/2. Then I have another piece of basic black and a piece of the designer series paper, and both of these are cut to 3 by 4 inches, and those are going to create the little flap on top of the purse. Then for the strap, this is a piece that's 6 1/2 by 3/8, and if you wanted to make the smaller purse, you would just have a piece that's 5 1/2 by 3/8 inches. So let's go ahead and get the scoring done on this. So I'm going to put my paper in on the 9 1/4 inch side and do the scoring there first. So you'll score at 3 inches, then 6 1/4 inch. Then turn your paper so that it's the 8 1/4 inch side of the top, and you're going to score at 3 and at 5 1/4. Now, while we have the paper in here, and you're not going to be able to see this on top of this dark paper probably, but there's a couple of other score marks that we're going to make. So what you'll want to do is this score mark that's here, the very first one, find it on your paper, put your finger there, start scoring at the 2 1/2 inch mark, and then stop when you get to this first score line. And then do the same thing over here at 5 3/4. Find your first score line, start scoring down, and then stop when you reach that horizontal score line. Flip it around and do it again. So you'll find your score line here, score down to it at 2 1/2, and then again at 5 3/4. And this may not be making any sense to you at all right now, but there's a reason why I do it this way, and as we're cutting it out, it will probably make more sense. I'm going to go ahead and do my folding, and since this is designer series paper and not cardstock, you can or cannot, whichever you choose to do, use your bone folder on it. I'm not going to, since it is designer series paper. Alright, so those two little short score lines that we made and we stopped at the long score line, you can't fold those, of course, but let me just try to point out to you, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here is that little rectangular piece where we made and we stopped the score line there, and then it's also on the other side of here, and then here and here. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut straight up this score line and this one, and then cut along this score line and this one, the little short ones that we made. And I hope that's not confusing, but let's go ahead and get this cut out, and then maybe it'll make more sense as we're doing it. So cut up to that first score line that goes all the way across. Repeat that right here. And then I like to fold those out of the way. Now, my little short score line is right here, so I'm going to cut along this score line here and get rid of that piece, and then do the same thing right here. So let's flip our paper over and do the same thing on this side. Cut straight up that score line, stop when you reach the one that goes all the way across the paper. Same thing on this side. Fold that middle flap back out of your way. Find that short score line you made, cut that piece off, and then cut this piece off. So when you get done with all of your cutting, this is what you're going to be left with. And then you have your little tabs right here and right here. So let me turn it this way. These two are actually the sides of your purse that are going to fold in. And so these two little tabs, I marked them the way that I did to have a good reference of where to cut and know where my tabs are going to be. So something else that you'll want to do is cut a little angle out of each one of these. It's going to make your box fold in, or your purse I should say, fold in a lot easier and be neater. Alrighty, so sides of the purse, front and back of the purse, bottom of the purse. Let's go ahead and get our purse assembled. Just going to put a piece of scratch down here, and I'm going to be using fast fuse to do this with. I forgot to notch this side out. Let me go ahead and do that now that I've noticed it. So use fuse, or you can use tearing tape. Run that along those little tabs right there. Then you just let the corners and those cut edges meet up together to form your purse, which really, in actuality, you're making a box without a top on it, but when you get done, it's going to look like a purse and not just a box. Make sure all of those are stuck nicely. And then what you'll want to do is put your fingers, your first finger in the middle there, and push that in as you squeeze the top of this together, and give it a good pinch right along the top. And sometimes I'll come in on the side with my thumb and just push those sides in to make that shape a little bit better. So there's the base of your purse done. So the next thing that we'll want to do is get our purse top cut out, this little piece right here, and I've used basic black and a piece of the Designer Series paper, and to cut that out I just used the largest oval from the Stitch Shapes framelits. So let me grab my Big Shot and show you how to do this. So you're going to cut this out of both of these pieces. There's the basic black. Now we have these cut out, I'm going to grab my Simply Scored tool again, and I'm going to put these together. Now I'm not adhering them together at this point. I'm just laying them on my Simply Scored tool together and making sure that it's straight. Then you're going to score at 1 inch and at 1 3/8 inches. You may want to go over that a couple of times to make sure that you go through the Designer Series paper into the cardstock. And I can see those scoring lines there just fine. So go ahead and fold along those two score lines. And the reason that I do it this way is if I were to lay these ovals down in here separately and try to score them individually, I may not have them laying in here straight the same way. So then when I put them together, there's a chance that my score lines would be off and it would be crooked or something would go wrong. So I put them together to score them instead of doing them separately. Now you see these little stitched marks that go all the way around this oval, which is the characteristic I love about the Stitch Shape framelits. You're going to take your scissors and you're going to come in here and trim right on top of where you see those little stitch marks and go all the way around this oval. And then it's going to leave a small black rim from the basic black cardstock just peeking out beyond the edge of this Designer Series paper, and it gives it a more high-end purse look. If you ever look at like Dooney and Burke and Coach and a lot of those high-end bags, a lot of times they'll have special little extras on the purse like that that just make it what it is. Okay, so now we're going to use our Tombow multi-purpose glue. Just put glue all in here on the inside of this Designer Series paper and put them together, making sure that you line up those score lines. Get everything in here straight. Okay, so now I'm just going to set that aside just for a minute and go ahead and get the flowers cut out while that glue sets up. And also I wanted to make mention that I have a kit here, and if you will go over to my blog and make a comment under the post for this project, then I will randomly draw a winner and send out this kit to the person whose name gets drawn. And typically I will do that about every 2 weeks, and I may draw the winner on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and then I make my trip to the post office on Friday or Saturday and get my kits sent out. Also, while you're over there, feel free to sign up for my newsletter. When you do, I will send out a free tutorial to you, and that is just my way of thanking you for signing up for my newsletter. So let me grab the succulent framelits, and we're going to use these 3 flowers right here. And I'm going to cut the largest one out of the silver, and then I always just cut a couple out of the pink and the black, just so that I'll have them. Now what I'm going to do to keep from scratching up my silver foil sheet is this. I just have a piece of scrap paper here. I'm just going to throw that over the top of my silver foil sheet because, as you can see, my acrylic plates are chewed up, and if I don't protect that silver foil sheet when it runs through, it will transfer all those markings over to my foil, and I don't want that to happen. So let's get these off. And I'm going to grab my Big Shot die brush and get these out of these framelits. This is a must-have if you're going to be doing much work with framelits, especially some that are detailed, because this little brush knocks them right out of that framelit. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to cut out another set of flowers. I've got all of my flowers cut out, and I cut out one large silver, and I cut out a medium pink and black and a small pink and black. And this is how I put these together. I do a silver, and then I stack a pink on top of that, and then I do the black on top of that one. And then, oops, I did that backwards. No, that's right. And then the small ones, I do just like that. So, in order to get those stuck together, you know what I'm going to use are my glue dots, because I love them. And they make a project quick and easy to do. Get those layered together. Put one there. Alrighty. And then let's do the small one. How did I end up with a glue dot on my finger? I don't even know. So on this one, put the glue dot on top of the black, and then the pink on top of that. And I stagger where the petals from the bottom flowers show through the petals that are on top. Now, in this purse, I used the basic pearls, and so I'm going to use those. And then on this one, I actually cut out a piece of silver foil sheet with my 1/2-inch circle punch, but I think I'm going to do this a little bit differently on this purse. I like the way that looks, but I don't love the way it looks. So I am going to use these little pearls here in the middle of the flowers, and for the larger one, I've used the large pearl. And then for the smaller one, I use the next size down and put that in the middle of each of those. Then we can adhere these to the front of our purse, and I'm just going to use some glue to do that with. I'll put a dot in the middle, and then I just like to put a little dot of glue on the outside of each of these little petals, and it doesn't take very much at all. This Tombow glue is super sticky, and it works really, really well. So I'm going to place that flower there. Then the smaller one, put a blob of glue there and just stick it right beside the larger flower. Okay, so again, I'm going to sit these aside and allow that glue to dry a little bit, and we will go ahead and work on the top of our bag right now. So, like I said, for this one, I'm going to do this a little bit differently, and I'm actually going to use the metal rimmed pearls instead. Since I'm going with that pearl theme, I'm just going to stick with this one as my little latch on the front of the purse, or a decorative portion of the front flap of this purse. Let's go ahead while that glue is setting up and make our strap. Now this piece is 6.5 by 3/8 inches wide, and what you're going to do is just take your bone folder and gently run it the paper between your thumb and your bone folder, and it's going to curl just like this. And then I just eyeball it and go about 3/8 of an inch and pinch it back that way, and then do the same thing on this side. Then I'm going to use glue dots because I want it to adhere immediately. It would be fine to use liquid glue here if you wanted to. You would just need to let it sit for a little bit first in order to get set up. So put a glue dot on either side of this purse lid, and that's probably about 1/4 of an inch in from the outside edge of your designer series paper. Then stick that portion down there where you made that fold, and then do the same thing on this side. Then I'm going to grab these pearls again and get a couple of the large ones and stick one right there in the middle of each of those little flat portions that are part of the handle, and that way it kind of looks like a little brad or a button or something that's holding that strap on the purse. So now let's go ahead and use our fast fuse and just run a couple of strips on what will be the back portion of the flap. Grab our purse, then I lay that down flat, and I line the two outside edges of the purse up, and then the top edge of the purse with that fold on the back. Take my bone folder and put it in there and start getting that adhered, and then once I've kind of got it stuck a little bit, then I can open it up and push it down the rest of the way. So now I'm actually going to use a magnet on this purse as well instead of the Velcro, but if you have Velcro and no magnets, please feel free to use that. If you don't have either, you could always adhere it shut with a little glue dot or something like that to keep it closed for you. So let me grab my magnets real quick. So what I did was I put one right under here, and ordinarily you're going to want to use a very strong adhesive. Glue dots are okay if your magnets are not as strong as these, but because I made the mistake of buying magnets that are so strong, glue dots are not doing it. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and use a glue dot, and then after the tutorial is over, I'll go back and I'll put Tombow on there instead. So I'm going to stick this right behind where that pearl is. I'm going to close my bag and determine just about where I need to put that magnet on the inside. Let me get that straightened up a little bit better. I didn't get it exactly where I wanted it to be. Okay, so I'm just looking, and I know that that magnet needs to go right about in this area. So let's see, which is the sticky side. Okay, so that side needs to go toward the purse. Alright, so keep that in mind. Grab a glue dot. Put that on the inside of the bag, right there where I eyeballed it, and then those will attach together. This is the difference between this purse and this purse, and I really like the metal rimmed pearl better than this, but of course that's personal preference. Whichever one you like the best is what you should do. And then here is the smaller version of this project. So if you need a last minute throw it together project for a Valentine gift for a teacher or a coworker or a friend or whoever, I don't know of any woman who would not love to get this little mini purse full of some candy, or you could even get a small couple of tea lights or something like that down in there. Don't forget to get on over there to my blog, make a comment about the post of this, and sign up for my newsletter so you can get your free tutorial. And if you would like to recreate this purse, a list of supplies are below this video in the description box, as well as in the free PDF and instruction sheet on my blog under this post. So you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.